You are failing your teenager right now, and you have absolutely no idea it's happening. That's not an accusation. That's a fact that almost every parent discovers too late, after the damage is already done, after the silence at dinner becomes permanent, after the eye rolls turn into a door that never opens again. And if you're here, if something pulled you to this video today, some quiet voice in the back of your mind that keeps whispering that something is off with your kid, you need to stay with me because what I'm about to share changes everything. Let's start with a scene. Your teenager comes home from school, you ask how their day was, they say fine, you push a little, you ask about the test, the friend situation, the project, and something shifts in their face, just for a second, something that looks almost like disappointment. Then they go to their room, the door closes, and you're standing in the kitchen alone wondering what just happened. You're not a bad parent, you love your child more than anything in this world, you would do anything for them. But something in that moment went wrong, and you felt it, and you couldn't name it. Here's what's really happening. There is one specific parenting pattern that is silently destroying your teenager's confidence every single day. It's not yelling, it's not being too strict, it's not screen time, and it's not grades. It's something so common, so normalized, so disguised as love and concern, that most parents do it constantly without ever recognizing it as harmful. And research consistently shows that this pattern is one of the strongest predictors of low self-esteem, anxiety, and emotional shutdown in teenagers. The numbers are staggering. Studies in developmental psychology have found that teenagers who experience this pattern regularly are significantly more likely to struggle with self-doubt, people-pleasing, and an inability to trust their own judgment well into adulthood. We're not talking about minor confidence dips. We're talking about foundational damage to how a young person sees themselves. Now, before we go deeper, because we are going absolutely deep into this, I want to mention something quickly. If you're the kind of parent who actually shows up, who watches content like this because you genuinely want to do better, there is a program linked in the description below this video. It's built specifically for parents who are done guessing and want a real roadmap. It's not for everyone. Honestly, if you're comfortable with how things are going, don't bother clicking it. But if you feel that pull, that knowing that things could be fundamentally different between you and your teenager, it might be exactly what you've been looking for. Now let's get back into it because this is where it gets real. The pattern is called corrective love. It's when every act of connection between you and your teenager comes attached to a correction, a suggestion, an improvement, a gentle redirect. You tell them you love them and then you mention they should be more organized. You compliment their effort and then pivot to what they could have done better. You listen to their problem and immediately start solving it before they've even finished speaking. You hug them and in the same breath remind them about the thing they forgot to do. It feels like caring. It looks like guidance. But to your teenager, it is slowly teaching them one devastating lesson. I am never enough. Not as I am, right now, in this moment, I always need to be fixed. And here is where it breaks your heart if you really let yourself feel it. Your teenager is not pulling away from you. They are pulling away from the version of themselves they become around you. The version that always feels slightly wrong, slightly insufficient, slightly in need of improvement, so they stop sharing. Not because they don't love you, because sharing means exposing something that will be corrected. They stop trying new things and telling you about them. Not because they're lazy, because trying means risking failure and failure means a conversation that starts with support and ends with a lesson. They stop asking for your opinion. Not because they don't value you, because your opinion always comes with a footnote. The confidence erosion is invisible and cumulative. Each individual correction seems harmless. You genuinely mean well. But imagine someone you deeply loved and respected, every single day, responded to everything you shared with a subtle but consistent message that you had done it slightly wrong or could have done it better. Imagine that happening across months and years. What would that do to how you see yourself? What would that do to your willingness to take risks, to speak up, to believe in your own ideas? Now imagine you were in the middle of forming your entire identity when this was happening. That is your teenager's daily reality. The physical signs are there if you know what to look for. The slightly slouched posture in conversations with you. The way their voice drops or their answers shorten. The way they seem more alive, more articulate, more confident when they're talking to literally anyone who isn't you. That's not a betrayal. That's a teenager finding the only spaces where they can exist without being corrected into something else. And the cost of this is not just emotional. Research shows that teenagers with chronically low confidence demonstrate measurable differences in academic risk-taking, social initiation, and long-term career ambition. The cost of this pattern doesn't stay in your home. It follows your child into every room they ever walk into job interviews where they second-guess every answer, into relationships where they constantly seek approval from partners, into moments of opportunity where they talk themselves out of things before they even try. Parents who went through this pattern themselves as children and never addressed it have reported spending years in therapy unlearning the deep-seated belief that who they are naturally is never quite good enough. The return on investment of changing this pattern now is incalculable. You are not just improving your relationship, you are literally reshaping the trajectory of your child's entire life. Now here is the twist that makes this even harder. The parents most likely to fall into this pattern are the most involved, the most caring, the most invested. They are the parents who read the books, who show up to everything, who worry constantly because they love so hard. The casual parents don't struggle with this because they're not paying close enough attention to constantly course correct. This is a trap built into the foundation of deep parental love, which is why it is so painful to recognize and so hard to stop. Let me paint you another picture. There is a teenager who one day decides to show their parent a drawing they've been working on for weeks. Something personal, something that came from inside them. They walk into the room with a drawing held slightly behind them, because there's a voice in their head, a voice that sounds remarkably like a parent's voice, running through all the ways it's probably not good enough. The parent looks at the drawing, and instead of just sitting in the beauty of it, instead of just receiving the gift of being shown something intimate, they say, "This is great, but did you think about the shading here?" Or, "This is wonderful, you should enter this in that competition." And the teenager nods and says, "Yeah, probably." And they take the drawing back to their room, and they never show their parent anything like that again. And the parent, sitting in the living room, has no idea they just closed a door that may never fully reopen. Here's what that moment needed, instead. Nothing. Not advice, not next steps, not improvement, just, "This is incredible, I love that you made this." Full stop. No footnote. That moment of pure, uncorrected acceptance is one of the most powerful confidence-building experiences a teenager can have. Because it tells them, in the language that actually lands, you are enough, exactly as you are, in this moment, without changing anything. The science behind this is fascinating and deeply human. When teenagers receive acceptance without conditions attached, their nervous system registers safety. Safety creates the neurological conditions for confidence to grow. Confidence is not built through achievement. It is built through feeling fundamentally accepted by the people whose love matters most. Achievement without that foundation creates performance anxiety, not confidence. This is why so many high-achieving teenagers are falling apart on the inside. They've been rewarded for output their entire lives but never simply loved for existing. The transformation is possible, and it is faster than you think. Parents who shift this pattern consistently report that within weeks, sometimes within days, something begins to change. Their teenager starts lingering in conversations a little longer, starts volunteering information instead of just answering direct questions, starts laughing more in their presence, starts coming back to them with things, real things, the kind of things they used to share only with friends. That reconnection is one of the most emotionally profound experiences a parent can have. It is the feeling of getting your child back, of watching them remember that you are a safe place, of seeing confidence slowly return to their posture, their voice, their willingness to take up space in the world. One shift, one pattern, one decision to lead with pure acceptance before anything else. That is the intervention. And it costs you nothing except the habit you've been running on autopilot for years. But here is the hard truth. Knowing this is not the same as being able to do it consistently. Because the old pattern is deeply wired, it runs automatically. It comes from your own upbringing, your own experiences of love being conditional or corrective. Breaking it requires more than awareness. It requires structure, practice, and a real system for rewiring how you show up in those spontaneous daily moments before you even have time to think. That is exactly what the program in the description is built for. And look, you've watched this far because something in you knows this is real, knows this is your situation, knows that something needs to change before more time passes. Time is genuinely the most irreplaceable variable here. Every week that goes by is another week of subtle messages building up in your teenager's mind. The window of influence you have while they are still under your roof is not infinite. Most parents don't act until the distance is so wide that rebuilding feels impossible. You still have time. You still have access. You still have the ability to become the safe presence your teenager desperately needs right now. The program linked in the description will show you exactly how to make this shift in a way that actually sticks. Not just for a day or a week, but permanently. Don't let another week go by doing the same thing and hoping the relationship repairs itself. It won't, but you absolutely can.